The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus told his disciples a parable. Can a blind person guide a blind person? Will not both fall into a pit? No disciple is superior to the teacher, but when fully trained, every disciple will be like the teacher. Why do you notice the splinter in your brother's eye, but do not perceive the wooden beam in your own? How can you say to your brother, "Brother, let me remove that splinter in your eye," when you do not even notice the wooden beam in your own eye? You hypocrite, remove the wooden beam from your own eye first, then you will see clearly to remove the splinter in your brother's eye. A good tree does not produce rotten fruit, nor does a rotten tree bear good fruit. For every tree is known by its own fruit. For people do not pick figs from thorn bushes, nor do they gather grapes from brambles. A good person out of the store of goodness in his heart produces good, but an evil person out of the store of evil produces evil. For from the fullness of the heart, the mouth speaks. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Priest was talking to people leaving church after Mass. Many were complimenting him on his homily. One person really praised him quite highly. She said to him, "That was an excellent homily, the best one I've ever heard. Everything you said applies to somebody I know." It's easy to listen for what we think other people need to hear. Sometimes I see it happening at Mass. If that other person happens to be there, I will see somebody being nudged or poked, and they're saying basically, "Hey, you should be listening to this because this applies to you." Jesus challenges us to look at our own lives first before criticizing others. Maybe we would be better off by looking at our own lives instead of criticizing others, because criticizing others never seems to end well. Jesus talked about blind guides. Jesus came into this world to tell us about God and about God's ways. Basically, Jesus told us that whatever we think we know about God is probably wrong. And whatever we think we know about God's kingdom is probably wrong. That's especially true when we criticize other people. Basically, we're saying they aren't following what we consider God's way to be. The beam in our own eye is our false notions about God's ways. Jesus, throughout his ministry, told us that God is merciful, and we struggle with that. We want God to be on our side, not the other side. We want God to help our side and work against the other side. We want God to be merciful to us, not so much to the others. The beam in our eye is that we look at God through the lens of this world, and therefore we think that God is limited, like we are, and bound by our rules. The best thing we can say about that we can do is to be merciful. That may be living mercy might be the most accurate thing we can say about God. Jesus said we'll be known by our fruit, by our actions. Acting in mercy shows that we are acting with God. Acting in mercy is the best example we can give to Aaron here as he grows up into all our young people. Blind guides actually may be the best guides, at least the ones who know their vision is limited. Those who think they see clearly are dangerous because they're very likely wrong. Wisdom is realizing that we have a very limited vision. And in that situation, all we can do is strive to be merciful. Being merciful makes us most like God.